Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It is an honour to contribute to today's debate on such a critical issue. As the former head of policy for the British Computer Society, this was one of my passion projects. I pay tribute to my honourable friend, the member for Lagan Valley, for bravely bringing this debate to this place as it affects us all. As MPs, we have a duty not only to preserve democracy, but to strengthen it. We must safeguard the integrity of public discourse, yet increasingly the conversation is manipulated by a handful of powerful billionaires, unaccountable corporate giants and malicious actors, foreign and domestic, all counting on us to dither and retreat at the scale of the challenge. Public trust in digital platforms is eroding as the people behind the algorithms driving these platforms wield unprecedented power and influence over millions without any of the checks and balances that the rest of our democratic institutions have been shaped by for generations. The people behind the algorithms designed to manipulate or exploit are rewarding sensationalism and division over truth, nuance and meaningful discussion with impunity. Absolutely.
The very distinction between fact and fiction is being eroded. And I fear that young people's consciousness of that is being so damaged that we won't really be able to navigate the journey to truth that he described. But the point I wanted to make is this, with your indulgence. It is those great giants, but it's also the keyboard warriors. You know, Umberto Eco said that the internet is the empire of imbeciles. And the trouble is, people can't tell the difference now between imbeciles and experts.
Member for his contribution, and I would say that children, there's a lot of conversation rightly about children in this space, but we often forget that it's people generally that are having huge problems with this. When I was knocking on the doors just last weekend, grown men were saying they didn't believe anything they read online, they didn't believe anything I said, there was no way of justifying, and it's a real difficulty, so I'd absolutely take his point. And it's important that we talk about the people behind the algorithms, and this is the important point that I think we need to make. Yep, absolutely.
Good way on that point. I think it's important not only that we make a distinction between fact and fiction, but will he also accept the distinction between real and fake people operating in some of these spaces as well?
Yes, absolutely, and I think the honourable member for Stafford mentioned earlier about the difficulty with identifying or holding to account the bots and the non-people actors that are causing so much problem. But I talk about the people behind the algorithms and platforms in debates like this because it's far too easy to lose perspective and characterise algorithms and digital platforms as something intangible and alien to us when we are actually in control of them. In 2020, the former member for Uxbridge, when he was Prime Minister, claimed that mutant algorithms were to blame for the 2020 exam fiasco. This was a masterclass in deflecting blame from the egregious human failure and the line of responsibility, which tracked right back to the heart of his government. The consequences of which still impact the thousands of young people, my constituents included, whose life plans and chances were upended by the hubris of a government enthralled to the promise of tech as a quick fix. Sensationalist headlines of mutant algorithms serve no one other than those avoiding the finger of blame, and it all comes at the expense of a meaningful space to discuss the issues that truly matter to our constituents, such as the cost of living, the housing crisis and the need for better public services, and we must do better. Online disinformation is a persistent and pernicious threat to our democracy. False narratives spread much faster and they stick much harder than truth. Populist snake oil salesmen hawk false hope online and pervert public perception, and they sell simple solutions to complex problems to desperate people, and they intentionally undermine our institutions to their own ends.
Will my honourable friend give way?
Absolutely will.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way. Does he agree with me that many of the people operating in the background are doing on behalf of our foreign adversaries, countries like Russia, Iran and others that outsource this sort of work to sow division inside our society, and we should work as hard as we can with the government to tackle this?
Thank you for his intervention. I will get on to that in a few minutes. Disinformation has become a stealth weapon wielded by hostile states and domestic actors alike to destabilise communities, societies and undermine democratic norms. We saw the real-world consequences of this just last summer with inflammatory content spread with impunity online, fueling riots and civil unrest. This serves as a stark warning that disinformation does not remain online. It has dangerous real-life consequences. And in my constituency, I saw how people manipulated fear in our most vulnerable communities, using online platforms to promote their own craven political agendas. And this is something I will never forgive them for.
Will the Honourable Member give way on that
Absolutely.
point? Would he agree with me that there is a responsibility upon all of us who are fortunate enough to be in this place to use our voices proportionately, carefully and with respect, because actually we have power to inflame and create situations and antagonise situations that can make them much worse by utilising these platforms.
As the Honourable Member knows, I'm a very moderate human being. But I absolutely agree, and one of the things that I have wanted to do in this place and in my work in my constituency is to always look for the positive angle to things and to talk with moderation and to calm community tensions rather than inflame them for political aim. And I think that is something that, that I see much more of at the moment, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Stronger regulations, greater transparency and real accountability are essential, but so is meaningful and applicable education and training. One will not be fully effective without the other. Platforms must act in the public interest, have greater ethical oversight and governance, and not simply follow the corporate interests of shareholders. The voices of ordinary citizens, not the interests of the few, must shape our national discourse, and the UK has to push for global consensus where it can in an increasingly challenging and complex world. I will give way. Yes.
And he's made an incredibly impassioned speech which comes from a place of real experience. And as has been mentioned today, though, we see an incredibly stark divide in the younger generation. Recent research from Generation Z has shown it is more polarised than ever, with, as has been mentioned, over 25% of young people preferring authoritarianism. Does he agree with me that it's time to make sure that our young people are able to access new
Absolutely, we need to be creating spaces in our schools and in our community situations for that sort of debate. I am really encouraged by the work of my colleagues in government, including my honourable friend, the member for Enfield North, who are taking their responsibilities to the British public seriously and showing an openness to engagement which was sorely lacking under the previous administration in the policies around technology. I look forward to working with my colleagues to take the necessary steps to protect and strengthen our democracy in this digital age. This government has a moral duty to act in the public interest on this. Let us work together to restore faith in our democracy and our institutions and show that we are still the masters of our own destiny, even in this brave new digital world. Thank you.
Yeah.